And nobody in all of Oz, no wizard that there is or was, is ever gonna bring me down. Hey there, everyone. That sexy nerd is back again. And I finally saw Wicked Part 1. Let's get that out of the way right now. So this is my second ever review. And honestly, it's, again, I guess I pick them. I pick them when they're really, really close to me. This is probably my favorite musical of all time. Yes, I know most of the guys in my comment section will be like, hey, the pussy, it's just a woman's musical. No. This play is honestly badass. I know it's about two women, but if you really look, first of all, if you're a real fan of The Wizard of Oz, you'd know that there's some really dark, twisted shit going on in the land of Oz. and just the lore and everything about the story is so fascinating. I honestly just finally read some of the books, and yeah, they really hit different. They're basically longer cliff noted versions, but like there's so many differences and so many things that actually make sense, that there's actual things in the original Wizard of Oz movie that actually make it a little confusing. Like the whole Glenda not telling Dorothy that the ruby slippers were the only thing that could have gotten her back to Kansas. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, in the book, Glenda is all the way in the South. You know, the Good Witch of the South, right? The witch that Dorothy meets at the beginning of the Yellow Brick Road, and, you know, they after, you know, they kill her sister for first of all, like, yeah, they made her look like the bad guy, but they did murder her sister and steal her shoes, something that is covered in this play, as a matter of fact. But my point being is that the person that Dorothy runs into instead of Glenda is actually the Good Witch of the North. And it makes a little bit more sense, don't it? But then again, how could they not see that plot hole? How could they not think that? I mean, I guess everything was a little bit more whimsy and but like, I mean, come on. Snow White came out not long before this, and it made way more sense than that little plot hole, don't it? Rant over. Anyway, this play, the play that this movie is based on. If you guys didn't watch my reaction to the trailer, which I couldn't hold back the tears, watch it up here. And it's just, it was so emotional for me. And I never had any doubt that this movie was not going to be good. They had the right people. They had, everything seemed to be in the right hands and everything. And like, I mean, I saw this play when I was in high school, and it was so good. It was I mean, again, the way it really deepened the land of Oz and everything, even though in all technicality it's really not canon. It's really not canon to the Wizard of Oz, but the story, the everything that they put in really made the land of Oz a lot deeper and a lot darker than it actually has been depicted before. You know, I mean, the flying monkeys are not the only scary thing that is in this world. But anyway, honestly, like, just from start to finish, like, you know, I was just completely hooked. I was mad that, you know, that this is a part one, because I knew that they were saying this before, and I even brought it up in my last video. I knew it was going to be a problem, and I knew where they were going to cut it off too. It's like basically where, like, there's no need to worry about any really long wait. Really, it's like I mean, or like interferences with the play, as far as we know, because they cut it off right where the intermission is in the play. So basically, we're gonna. But I remember I said this right after I saw the movie. It's like, man, we're gonna have to wait a year. That usually takes something 20 minutes to go see again. Which really sucks. Like, you know, I feel like they could have made this into a movie, but like a full feature length movie. But I hear they're making some changes to the story because apparently a lot of the things aren't as PC as they once were. I cannot get into certain things on why they're not exactly PC, but they would offend some people apparently. And apparently it has to be changed. But honestly, this movie again was just absolutely spectacular. It really captured the magic that you actually see. It's not entirely what I expected this the Land of Oz to be, as according to Wicked. It kind of looks a little bit like, dare I say it, Ron Howard's The Grinch a little in some parts, without all the snow and everything, and the CGI background. But honestly, the CGI backgrounds really have been worked in really well. Like, a lot of this, the CGI is actually really well done in this movie. They don't skimp on it. I don't think I even recall that many mistakes in the actual movie itself. But nothing that really bothered me is like, oh, it's fake. And nothing took me out of it. But like the whole thing with it looking a little bit like Dr. Seuss's The Grinch did kind of take me out of it a little bit. But I guess that's just a nitpick. Now, the characters. Now, let's start with. We're going to go a little different here. We're going to start from the bottom. Well, okay, not really the bottom, but just the lower characters first. They put in they really put in the time for the side characters. Really, everybody feels like it. It really feels like everybody's play, at least in the first part. Especially Elphaba's sister, who's bound to a wheelchair. Her boyfriend, under certain circumstances, who eventually becomes a very famous character that I'm not going to spoil. Backstories are really well established. The boyfriend, the Prince, great acting on this guy. I really did like him. And especially if you know what his backstory is, or what he eventually becomes, it really does fit. He really doesn't change much at all. And I think he was also very charming. He had a really good chemistry with Elphaba, even though he's like, it's supposed to be under wraps and everything. And he's also gets along really well with Glenda. Obviously she's like in love with him and this and that and the other. He's so handsome and na. But when he eventually falls for Elphaba, he really the jokes kind of start stopping, and he kind of morphs into somebody who takes things a little bit more seriously. But is it for the love of her, or is it because he really believes in her causes? Who knows? Then we'll have to wait for part 2 to find out. Now let's get into Madame Morrible, played by Michelle Yeoh. Now I feel she was a little bit more likable in this play than she was in the actual play, because like from the start you don't like her. You don't like the bitch, even though she is training Elsa and everything. I never, at least from my perspective, I always knew she was going to be bad, or something. We were going to have to deal with her at some point and everything. But she does serve her purpose. And like I said, I think Michelle Yeoh brings a lot of likability to the character, at least early on. I mean, and when she becomes, the villain, or at least it's genuinely surprising. I was like, yeah. Yeah, I really actually thought she was going to start helping Elphaba and them at this point, at the end. Now, before I get into the main two characters, we also have to talk about Peter Dinklage's character, the goat, Dr. Dillamond. Yeah, and so he played the goat. He honestly does not have that big a role in this movie or in the play, but the impact of him really shapes Elphaba's goals, and really, especially in the second act, it really cements her Wicked Witch status, At least according to the Ozians, because this is honestly Oz's story. Oh, yes. But, honestly, I can't spoil too much about him, because if I do, you'll know too much about the second act. And, some of it was actually hinted at in this, in the first act. So we're going to see how the second act goes. Also, when I said the final 3, I almost forgot about Oz. Final 2 characters, I almost forgot about Oz, played by Jeff Goldblum, who has, honestly, he kind of comes out and everything, and the intermission really just makes it a little bit more. Like the whole weight is really shirking on his character because you kind of don't know of like how bad he is or how good he is. He's just kind of weird about it. And honestly, I think the play kind of illustrated it a little bit more. I mean, yeah, he's just kind of a douche who just found himself in way too much power and everything. Kind of like some people we know. Yeah, at the same time, he's also very likable, and you also feel for him in certain emotional moments, especially with his possible relation to Elphaba. But shh, can't spoil because again, I love this play so much. I want to spoil it, but I can't. Get it. But now on to Glenda, played by Ariana Grande. Holy shit! Ariana Grande stole the show at some points. I did not expect her to like her as Glenda as much as I did, but boy, oh boy, I did. And it kind of showed a little early on in the trailer because the little part where she's like, I'm not going to step on this. This is your moment. I'm coming. That was like the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. But I didn't think it was going to get much better than that. But holy shit, did she play this character so well? I honestly, and don't hate me for this, but I think she might be the best Glenda I've seen. I don't know. But as far as the play is concerned. But then again, I've only seen one other person who's actually shown up in this film. The original actresses actually do show up. What is it? And Mina Denzel and the other one who played Glenda. I can't remember her name, but they both do appear in this, and they actually do sing, and it's great. Hey, you get reminded of it, and they get to sing with them, and it's so good. It's everything I ever wanted at the same time. But again, Ariana Grande really steals the show at certain points, especially during her song "Popular." Made that song. I remember I heard that song a little bit when I was younger. When I had originally seen the play and I didn't like it, I was like, "Oh, this is too Barbie." But it's one of my favorite songs in the entire movie now because of her acting and her everything. Like honestly, I even said it to my friends. We were like, "Yo, she's just happy to be here. She's so happy in this movie. So happy." And it's great to see. It makes you feel happy and everything. And I really want them to handle her well in the second act because again, there are certain things that are not being added or at least being told differently that I feel like they're going to tell the story a little differently in the next movie in the next part. And I don't know. Hopefully they can fix that. Hopefully it doesn't end up like It Chapter 2. But again, Ariana Grande just absolutely fantastic. She dances. She does brilliantly. Honestly, like I really do feel like everybody was like, "Oh my god!" Like at first, everybody's like, "Yeah, she's a little annoying," but then they're like, they loved her at the end. And really, I think that is just. I mean, again, like Ariana Grande, you could tell she has been wanting to play. I had a commenter actually tell me in the trailer video that that she had been waiting to play this role ever since she was a little girl, and you could tell she's always wanted to do it. And I'm really happy that she was able to do this for herself because it's we rarely ever get to fulfill our dreams. So good for her. Really good for her. And it shows in the performance. And finally, the big cheese, the main palooka, Elphaba, played by Cynthia, was also fantastic in this movie. Absolutely great. She is honestly very beautiful, beautiful woman. In certain parts too. I was actually really shocked. Because of you know, I feel like the green makeup and everything is supposed to make her feel ugly, but I mean, honestly, she's actually a very beautiful woman. Especially with the hairstyles that they give her and all the stuff that they do, and I'm like, yes, yes, I approve. And obviously, her singing is on point. I don't think it's necessarily better than Amina Denzel's, but she does do certain things with the notes and everything that I really do appreciate. She holds notes out longer, or even shortens some of them, or even puts emotion in some of the notes that she actually sings that were not in the original play, and you could hear the difference, and it's really good. It's still, it's not too different to where that you're like, oh man, this wasn't what it was going for at all. But it's like, a little bit different that makes you think about the emotions of the character a little bit more. You can even do that during the song, and I love a person who can do that. And honestly, I remember I knew I was there was a mid part of this movie where I was like, wow, I cannot believe they're like, what are they doing with this scene? What are they doing with the scene? Like it was a scene where they're all at a party and they're all like just it's honestly a very different the emotions are very different in the original play for this certain scene, and they do it so differently. And at first, I'm like, "Oh my god, what are they doing with the scene?" But then it just gets quieter and quieter, and you just kind of feel the emotions coming off of this character, and then what is it? Glenda comes in and steps in and comforts her and everything, and it got me. It got everybody. I heard people along with me crying in the theater, like just going, you just hear that, like right during the scene, and it's really good. Speaking of, by the way, I think now that I'm observing it a little bit, I feel like with Frozen didn't necessarily rip entirely off of that ending of Wicked, but we're gonna have to see if they actually change the ending to match like Frozen. It's like, I love you. It's some nonsense, it again. Why, if you're gonna steal from something great? I don't know. Oh, by the way, I didn't even feel the length of this movie. Like it was nearly 3 hours long. I could have been there for another few more minutes. Honestly, I felt like I feel like they could have put a little bit more into this first part, but I was like, man, we're gonna again. It doesn't hide the disappointment, and I really wish they could have fit it all into one movie. But then again, the movie would probably be like 4 hours long, maybe, maybe. I don't understand how the play itself can be like at least 2.5 hours in its entirety, and this is longer. But then again, if they didn't make it as long as this movie was, you would miss all of the little hidden things or the looks or the emotions that are carried in by the characters, especially by Elphaba. And again, why I like Cynthia and the little girl who depicts her as a child. I knew I was going to like her because I saw her in the trailer, and immediately, like when it switches back to her as a kid, it made me emotional and tear up and everything. And they use her very effectively. They only use her two parts, one at the beginning and then one at the end. And honestly, it really does serve effectively. And again, the actual ending of this musical, it's like that scene, that is everything I ever wanted. That last few minutes of the play, that is everything I imagined the ending of the play would have been. And I mean, they even put some Easter eggs into this thing where you go like, like, oh my god, like if you know the play, it. It's just a great movie, and they put a lot of effort into this. But my worry is that this is going to end up like that. That part two is going to end up like in chapter two.
Yeah, that's right. Let's dance. Yippee-ki-yay, mother.
They're not going to add enough and yet add too much, or they're just going to ruin the second part. And I really hope that's not the case, because again, I feel like they're adding things that the original play did not. But if they take some more things from the books, then maybe they can do that, because again, the Wizard of Oz is a rich history. I mean, there's a very underrated movie right now. To all my nostalgia critic fans, you all know what I'm talking about. Return to Oz. This is a sequel to The Wizard of Oz that actually follows the books a little more, and it's actually spectacular. Maybe scary, but it's spectacular.
Poison to gnomes. Holy shit.
But I, again, really absolutely enjoyed this movie. I give it my highest recommendation, even if you don't even like musicals. I actually showed this to a friend of mine who wouldn't even watch Hamilton with me. And I finally got to put Wicked on as a movie, sat down, watched it. It was like, when the hell's the next part? Why? Like, this thing was spectacular. What happened? What? So I honestly, I recommend it to as many people as I possibly can. Even if you don't like musicals, give this movie a chance. I know, especially the men, you may think that this thing is for girls, but honestly, you'll find things that you'll like about it. I promise you. And just give this thing a try. So, again, I give it my highest recommendation. Check out the movie if you haven't already. And yeah, please smash that like button if you want to see more sexy and nerdy content, and subscribe if you think I deserve it. And remember, sign up for my Patreon for all my latest reactions to all my latest videos. And I'll see you all in the next episode.